When an issue is captured by women, it's as good as gold. It's great to be coming your way again with another episode of Captured by Women. I am Nansata Yakubu, and as always, I'm here with
Elizabeth Olympio Emmanuel. I'm a project management consultant.
My name is Dedo Kofi, an entrepreneur with multiple business interests.
I'm Sarah Sakoje, real estate consultant and passionate about sports.
In this episode of Captured by Women, the campaign by government to get Ghanaians to think Ghana is in its second year this month. In March of each year, Ghanaians are urged to wear Ghana, see Ghana, and eat Ghana. How well has this campaign caught on with Ghanaians? On The Spin, we will ask whether the people who instituted this brilliant idea are leading the way by example.
This week, Ghana turned 62, and there were many unique aspects about this year's celebration. For the first time in history, the Independence Parade was held outside of the capital city, Accra, in Tamale, in the northern region. The day also coincided with the original Independence Day, which fell on a Wednesday. Is there any significance in that coincidence?
And Ghana joined the world to mark International Women's Day. How far have Ghanaian women come in the struggle for social equity and justice? We hear from a man who shares a genuine passion for championing equal opportunities and fairness for women and girls.
The Spin is up next when we return from this break.
Welcome back from the break. This is The Spin. Ladies, Ghana Month is in its second year. Have we made the most of it?
I think there are a lot of pluses and minuses. As for instance, if a government says, see Ghana, we have instances where there's been a defeat of the whole purpose. When you have government officials, including the first gentleman of the state, going on holidays abroad. Can't we see Ghana by visiting all the beautiful parks and other places we have? If there are problems there, we fix them. If you say eat Ghana, at local functions or state functions that are supposed to serve local people, you have dishes featuring Western cuisines. Sometimes you have to manage the culinary skills to be able to navigate what is being put before you, because the usual fufu and banku will not be featuring prominently. And when you say wear Ghana, how many of us can say that we are able to afford the fees that are charged by the designers and tailors or the cloth, to be able to, in the month of March, for every day, wear a traditional Ghanaian outfit? I mean, for some of us, we might say would afford, but how many other Ghanaians would be willing to do something like that? So there are a lot of pluses, but there are also minuses.
I think on that note, I wouldn't say, well, I would think that I can afford, but I can afford to spend 300 cedis on my fashion designer twice a week, 600 Ghana just on the clothing that I would wear, which is made in Ghana. You have to buy the fabric, and 300 cedis for a fashion designer these days is even on the low side. So for me, it's actually a mix of things, because you talk about see Ghana. What are people going to see? Are we making an effort to ensure that when people come to Ghana, the places they would go and see is in the right condition? Do they have places, like are there restaurants there?
For me, I think the Wear Ghana has encouraged people who ordinarily might not have worn as much made in Ghana stuff to concentrate on wearing it for that month. And it's not that you're going to finish wearing it just in March. You continue throughout the year. There have been some campaigns on social media where people have actually set up pages for people to post pictures of themselves wearing made in Ghana the whole of March. I also think that eating, I've been to quite a few restaurants who have started in March featuring many more Ghanaian dishes. In fact, yesterday I was at a wonderful event where their promise was nothing that wasn't in Ghana would be served. And they had, I think, about 30 different dishes, about 10 different soups, and it was fantastic. And they had cultural dancing and music. So I think it's a good initiative, yeah. And it can get better.
We agree it's a good initiative, but we are talking about whether leadership is by example. If we are looking at leadership by example, we know who the front runners of the state are. Are they doing much more than we thought.
I think our president
Because
is definitely wearing Ghana.
But I think that for the tourism sector, for instance, if we are going to do see Ghana, then goes to the bottom of the pile. Because wear Ghana, I think it's probably been geared up because we already do the National Friday wear. Okay. So which a lot of people have bought into. So a lot of people have caught on with that, and over the years, there's that. So you might say you save clothes from over the period, and in the month of March you repeat all your Friday wears. That could be a way.
Yes.
But not everybody is also in formal employment. We have people in the market, we have people who are hawking on the street. If they are all going to buy into this and there's ownership about this process, we need to see much more. Are we working on making textiles affordable? Or do we still continue to import so that they are at a very high cost? We have to do that. And as for See Ghana, the transportation, the facilities at places when you travel, sometimes even getting to a particular tourist site, you won't want to go and see because your life is at risk. So we need to have a much more positive, and holistic conversation about. It's a good initiative. There are 1,000 good initiatives in Ghana. To what end? So we need to see leadership doing more, you know, to push this, make things affordable. If it's the month of March, is there a particular place designated, a park, where you can buy a daily pass, a 2 days pass in all the regions? It's not an Accra thing, you know. All the regions, is there a place you can go and see things from the region being shown there? Are we going to legislate that for that particular month, all state functions must feature only banku and fufu and all the other local dishes? Those are things that would be very good. Those are things that we need to
in support of what you're saying, I think the Ghana Tourism Authority should come out with an intentional schedule of tours that can be had throughout the country, throughout the month, where people can just hop on the bus. It must be available. Make a conscious effort. 3 locations every month where people can go and it's affordable, arrange for accommodation, and it is possible. They have all the apparatus that they need to get this going.
Because
with the fabric.
The truth is we don't actually ourselves explore Ghana as much as we should. We should, yeah. So it will be very, very important.
Well, some of us do. Some of us, we are domestic tourists.
Yes, there are few exceptions.
But I'm saying that even if the government puts this into place, are the people, are they enlightened and interested in domestic tourism, for example?
We need to promote it. We need to promote it some more.
It's a matter of how it's packaged. There are a lot of people who live in Accra and don't know Kumasi, or Kumasi and don't know the North. And as for the North, we get a flack because sometimes all the 3 regions, somebody thinks it's one region, and they will just say in the northern regions. Now we have Savannah and Northeast, all the others, so that might make it much more, you know, you need to know what you're talking about. But if you go up there and see things, then it makes you, it's not just about seeing for seeing sake, but there's a whole education that goes with going into a community, trying to find out how they live, the kind of tourist locations and things they have there. So I think that where Ghana catches on, eat Ghana, we already eat a lot of, you know, local food anyway, even though for state functions, that might be a debate. But See Ghana, I think the See Ghana is the bottom of the pile. See Ghana is the
first thing we need to explore.
I think the See Ghana is the bottom of the pile.
I think Eat Ghana is more important. And it's not about local foods, it's about buying products that are manufactured in Ghana. I mean, honey, there's honey, rice, meats. I mean, you can buy so many things. Our grains are now becoming popular in the West. I mean, fonio is a local grain and it's a superfood. Yeah. So we should encourage ourselves to eat things that
I like that you mentioned honey.
Yes.
But you know, when you go to the supermarket on the shelves, we have various types of honey. I think it also comes to how we package what we have, how we package the things we have in Ghana. And so people who have a certain taste would prefer to have something that's foreign and well packaged instead of the made in Ghana ones, which are not packaged well. So in the end, I think it's a holistic look we need to give this whole Ghana month, so that we're going to get the best out of it as a country. We look at all the various areas, what we eat, what we wear, and the things we do. And in the end, it's going to push us towards development.
Sure, there are a lot of more people now promoting consuming locally made products.
True.
And beautifully packaged, beautifully packaged local products.
Even though it's not as much and many as we would like it to be, but it's catching on slowly. What perhaps government needs to assist in is tax breaks, assist in incentives, where we have done the full process using local products. There should be a star or promote the products and make it loud.
Especially promoting the product. For instance, if we are talking about industrialization and stuff like that, people are trying to make, I mean, very good cars in this country. You would be here, you would find a 4-wheel drive made in Ghana, yet they would import some car for an organization like the police service, which needs very durable cars that are always in the workshop being repaired. Case in point, we have Kantanka cars. We haven't heard of any tax break for it. I would love to drive a Kantanka car. But these are things the government can go into partnership.
Yeah, I did a test drive in it. It was great.
You know, and promote goods like that. So that is what we mean by leading by example. Let's see you buy Ghana. Yes. So that the rest of us who are buying will know that there's a national ownership about it.
There's also economic opportunities with the Sea Ghana. Whereas if you have the region, there's Airbnb. We can encourage our local, where people live in a region where there's a site attraction, they can actually share their homes to tourists. So if you have a home that can take 10 people, they can go to that site and say, hey, I'm willing to share my home at this rate. And this needs to be factored in, so it's also safe for people going to see these side attractions. The hotels are very expensive.
And the homeowners
I have seen hotels in Ghana, the pricing of hotels, and in South Africa, you cannot, it's incomparable.
But they'll tell you that's overheads that are forcing them to raise their prices.
We need to do something, especially even for our fabrics. We love the local fabrics, but why is an imported fabric imitation cheaper than a GTP fabric? It is unrealistic. It's not possible. We need to do more, perhaps spread the word a bit more and see how best this... I don't think the issues we are talking about here are not known to government or the local producers. But listen, the world is a much closer place now than ever. If you fail to produce the quality, the Chinese will take them from our customers, and there's Jumia to deliver it to their homes. Let's talk about Ghana at 62 right after this break.
Welcome back. At about midnight on 6th March 1957, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah declared Ghana's independence to a huge crowd at the old polo grounds in Accra. For those of us who were not yet born or too young to have witnessed it at the time, we sometimes wonder about the high hopes and aspirations of our countrymen as the dawn of independence broke. Would those smiling faces we saw in the crowd be proud of what has become of Ghana 62 years on? We are fortunate to have with us on Kaptured a man who knows Ghana and Africa pretty well, Mr. Echaba Adesibo, historian, Pan-Africanist. He has many sides to himself, among them an independent consultant on development who facilitated the resolution of conflicts in Liberia and Sierra Leone. Mr. Adesibo, welcome to Kaptured by Women.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here and I've been captured.
So let's go right to the beginning.
Yeah.
What was the mood when on the dawn of independence? What were people hoping for? What were their reactions? I mean, you were there, you were young, but how did you feel?
An elation. What had gone on in terms of preparation toward the independence, I was quite young then, but what I witnessed a little bit that worried me. There was some violence. I lived in Asawasi and in a mixed community. And you had the CPP and then the UP there. And what I couldn't understand when I was young is that some people would be approached and they say CPP. And when they say maybe they don't respond, they say CPP, then they may have a slap. Someone may slap them. They will say UP. So you don't know what to say. So all this confused me. But when the independence came, there was jubilation,
yes,
and there was a sense of unity and all that. And that was what was fantastic.
But what would you say to the arguments that have been? These arguments are still thriving. Mm-hmm. That in the case of Ghana, we made the British depart too early in our development trajectory, and that if we had gone along the path of, say, South Africa, who the colonialists have been there for a while, we would have been more developed. And then we have a new school of thought who are also thinking that it is what we have done with independence that has brought us here, and that if we are going to go the way of the new guys, the new kids on the block, like Rwanda, we probably would accelerate faster. What do you think of this dichotomy view?
You see, being the first is always difficult because you don't have the benefit of hindsight. So certainly there were mistakes and errors, but I will not regret anything with regards to the independence and self-government, because we've had experience of Haiti that fought, defeated the French, defeated the Spanish, defeated the Americans, and defeated the British.
Yes.
These were Africans who won their independence, but the French and the European powers made it impossible for Haiti to show that at least the African or the black man is capable of managing affairs. You see, so we've had that experience, and also remember that Ghana, it's our founding parents and those who have fought for us to be where we are. They recognize the significance of the land and its resources. So we fought against it in terms of colonization. So it was part of a trajectory. It was part of something that in us, we don't want any domination at all. So that was essential, critical, necessary, and it was achieved. But one thing that we Ghanaians, we must be very proud of, and we should never forget, is this. We achieved this without firing a gun.
I think that's very important.
That's important.
Without killing any European or white person, but they rather killed us. 3 of us.
Yes.
Yes, they rather shot at us. We should be proud of that. We kicked out the British about 200, 300 years of their existence here and moved ourselves, disciplined ourselves, organized ourselves through boycotts and the spirit of non-violence to get rid of them. That is us. I am proud of that. That is my heritage. So independence, yes, but please don't forget that when we assumed power with a completely black African cabinet in 1951, we achieved tremendously. Nkrumah and the regime, they made some savings to the extent that when we were in 1956, the dawn of independence, we had a reserves of about 200 million. You see, so we did something. And if you look at post-independence, the accelerated development of the schools, the hospitals, the roads, and all that, the British, they never did anything.
Let me come to some of the contentious issues of the freedom and liberation struggle. There's been some debate about the real place of Kwame Nkrumah in regards to the freedom struggle. What is your opinion? Where exactly is he the founder? Where would you place Kwame Nkrumah?
I prefer to use the word, instead of founding fathers, I prefer to use founding parents.
Founding parents.
Parents, to include women.
Yes.
Women played a
Thank you.
significant role. Without the women, oh my goodness.
The famous financiers.
Tego Kwaku Pom, Agnes Oforiwa, Tego Kwaku Pom. She is dead. But she was one of the market women who financed Nkrumah. It's incredible. You see, so I prefer to use the word founding parents to include our women.
So do you think those women who finance, they believed, did they truly understand what they were financing, what they were contributing?
Yes, they believed. For example, Tego Kwaku Pom, when Nkrumah came to this country and was settling in Accra, she provided accommodation for Nkrumah.
Okay.
So Nkrumah managed to interact with her and let her understand the mission. And she, in turn, will go to the market, will be educating the women about what was happening.
I think in our current political dispensation, this is still the case. A lot of women, you know, are in the forefront when it comes to party structures, organizing and leading the party to victory. Correct. And then when they get to the boardrooms, they close the door on the women. So over time, women have made it look like we only are in the background. And it's only when the men think that they should give some space to a few women that they do so. We would want to hear how you think that the political party structures can work to make this become an ideal state rather than what we have at the moment.
I was just going to add to, I'm just thinking, is it that they close the door or we also don't step up?
They close the door.
They close the
there
door.
Are people who step up. They will tell you they can't find the women when we are here.
Of closing
they close the door. It's not about people have stepped up and been stepped on, so they close the door. That is what that's. We should look at the closing of the door first.
Okay.
They're not stepping up is also another bigger conversation, but I think they closed the door. But what can we do now to change the status quo?
But I think that if you look at the years soon after independence, there was conscious effort by the Nkrumah regime to include women in governance and place them in high positions.
Okay.
There were women ministers, women directors of corporations, women district commissioners and all that. And we faltered. I sincerely believe military rule has messed it up tremendously, because the military itself is male culture. It's male culture.
Extremely patriarchal.
Yes. So, the military has disregard for the civilian. Then, when it comes to women, then it becomes much more difficult.
Yeah.
So that has been a major factor in derailing the role of women and their progress in the country. It's been, and that is something that we have to look at very examine seriously.
What would be some of, like, just one thing that you think we could do, you know, to erode, I mean, these gains
it depends
to rebuild.
on women. It depends on women. You should not settle for anything less.
Fight.
You should fight.
Yes,
it's like the vote.
Yeah.
One time in the world, women were denied the vote, but it's your fight.
Yeah.
You see, it's your fight. You have to take it to us. You must not tolerate our nonsense, our bullying, and our cheating, and our corruption, and everything. You should not tolerate it. The whole problem of tribalism, sexism, and corruption, yes, and all that, is male-centered. Primarily male-centered.
At the time of independence, there was a strong desire for African unity. Has this rolled back? Is this desire, has it dissipated? Are we still forging towards this goal?
African unity, not at the moment, because there's been a setback. The 1966 coup was a watershed for Africa.
Back to the military,
Yes, was for Africa. And we haven't recovered, Africa hasn't recovered, particularly Ghana, from the effect of the 1966 coup. And that is an area also that sociologists and anthropologists and historians have to examine thoroughly. So the whole issue of African unity has not been addressed because the intervention of the military was as a result of the thinking that Nkrumah and the CPP regime was spending so much of our resources on other countries, which is wrong.
Just before we finish, I wanted to ask, what was the significance for you of the Independence Day being held in Tamale this year?
Variety is the spice of life.
Okay. Yes, indeed.
The variety is the spice of life. And the North Tamale, because of the chieftaincy disputes and
Yes.
all that. So, and Tamale also, we must realize, is the fastest growing city in West Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and its position, if Tamale is well developed, it will become the hub for the Sahel.
Okay. It was a pleasure having you on Captured. Thank you very much. History has a way of showing how things change to remain the same. Ghana joined the world to mark International Women's Day. How far have Ghanaian women come in the struggle for social equity and justice? We hear from a man who shares a genuine passion for championing equal opportunity and fairness for women and girls. That's coming up next on Captured by Women.
This episode of Captured by Women is coming to you from the plush luxury living tea room at the Stanbic Heights Airport, Accra. This is Captured by Women, and I'm Dedo Kofi. The International Women's Day has been celebrated officially by members of the United Nations since 1977. But the United States of America had been celebrating the day 2 years earlier. It has become one of those important items on the Ghanaian calendar. But are we celebrating the day merely for its sake? Our guest is Eric Delano Alifo, Executive Director of Help Law Ghana, a pro bono lawyer helping women. Dr. Alifo, thanks for coming to Captured by Women. Mr. Alifo, we would like to know from you what pro bono means for obviously the benefit of some of us and our audiences who are not legally compliant.
Yeah, exactly. Well, pro bono just means free services. So for lawyers, when we render free services to people who need it, then we describe it as pro bono services. Free services could be given to people who can actually pay for the services, as if to your relations and friends who actually are endowed to pay. You can help them and provide free services to them. That should not qualify as pro bono services, actually. But when we give services to people who really need it, who do not have money to pay, and we provide legal services to them, then that is described in legal parlance as pro bono services.
Okay. And I see you help women in particular. Why did you decide to do that? What are the challenges facing women when it comes to pursuing legal?
Well, I do help women, but the focus was not for women initially.
Yes.
It's just that they are the ones that suffer most when you come to the criminal justice system in Ghana, for instance. The focus actually was on people who go to jail, people who have who are charged with criminal offenses, who are arrested by the police and then arraigned in court and charged. So, but you realize that most of those people, they are men though, but I realize that people who follow up their cases for them are mainly women, their mothers, their wives, because when men go to jail, it is the women that suffer because they have the family back home and they have to take care of the family. And so you realize that invariably it is women who are always coming to your office, who are crying every time, and you have to continue to help them. I do a number of civil cases also, and specifically matrimonial cases, which you would understand as divorce. And mostly, in our part of the world, the women are oppressed so much, very much oppressed. I think it's a cultural thing. And so I try to help them as much as I can. And so they always come over. And I also handle a few of these divorce cases for men, where I'll be the lawyer for the men, actually. Whenever I am a lawyer for the men, then the women can be smiling because I try to make it as amicable as possible.
Okay.
Because I always think that the women are oppressed in a way, and so I have to find ways to help them. So
Are you approached with cases of domestic violence and sexual abuse?
Not very much. Not very much. In some of the matrimonial cases that come up, such issues also come up, but they are not really the issues that we go to court on. It's just that people want to separate. They want to just have their ways. Right. And then they also allege some of these things, abuses, in the course of the case.
How do you fund your work?
That is the most difficult part. It's been very tough, especially in this part of the world when people think that whenever you are charged, it means you are a criminal. And so people are not willing to put money in. When I set it up initially, my my expectation was that I'll be able to find corporate bodies and philanthropists who will be willing to put money in. Because I actually trained in America, and I worked briefly with the Public Defender's Office in Baltimore, Maryland, and I saw that there was a whole government-established public defender system where, just as we have the Attorney General's Office with lawyers paid by the state to prosecute, there are also lawyers paid by the state to defend. So whenever they charge you and you don't have the means to defend yourself, they provide you a lawyer to do it. And so I came up, and there are also private legal aid schemes all over in the US and other places, other Western countries. So I came up with the idea that, well, I wanted to do something completely different. And so I would set this up, I would just venture into it and see what would happen. I was lucky to have funding 2 times. I started in 2010 when I came back, 2010, and I had funding only twice from an organization called Osiwa. Yeah, they gave me a little money for 2 times. And when they gave me money, I was able to take on 5 other lawyers, for instance. They don't work from our office, but they just go out, do cases for me, report the cases, and then we report back to them. But when there's no funding, it is only me, and it's tough. But I continue going as much as I can do. I keep going.
But how does this connect with the Ghana Legal Aid Scheme?
I don't have faith, I don't have confidence in the government-sponsored legal aid scheme because I think that it is not performing the duties that it's supposed to perform. It is there, actually. It's supposed to be doing some of these things. But when you go there, they are virtually charging people and taking money from them, or they take up cases that is going to bring some money to the clients, and then they take some percentages and all of that. I think the main problem was that when the legal aid scheme was set up the first time, the expectation at that time was that, Ghana had a system of lawyers doing national service after university. And so most of the lawyers that would come from the university and would be doing national service will be posted there. That is one of the ways they were supposed to get their lawyers. Lawyers doing national service will be posted to the legal scheme. And then the second is for private legal practitioners to volunteer their services. They are not doing it. And then now also we have a system where by the time people go to the university, they have completed their national service. And so they are not getting, by the time anybody becomes a lawyer, the person must have done his service already. And so they are not getting lawyers to post to. So they don't really have lawyers. So that is they are seriously handicapped.
So in essence, the legal aid scheme, that should be a pro bono place.
Yes.
It's not a pro bono place. That's what you are saying.
Well, I don't want to say that. You may just have to try it. I don't think they are doing what they are supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
They are not. I know for sure they are not. But I don't want to. And I have debated these a few times with the executive director of the legal aid scheme itself. They will tell you they have their own problems. It is about funding because they are also operating under the Attorney General's department. So it is the same Attorney General's department that is prosecuting, and so if you are going to be defending, and they are supposed to get a budget and give you a little portion of it for you to operate. There's a problem, a big problem over there. So they are not doing what they are supposed to be doing, and so you see a lot of people in our jails. They are not supposed to be there.
Yes.
They are there only because they didn't have lawyers, and so they rush them through the system. Sometimes they tell them that when you go to court, just plead guilty, and we'll help you. And by the time you plead guilty, and you are in jail. Yeah, recently I was in court somewhere in a very interesting story, I'll just tell you. I was in court somewhere in the Volta region, and by the time I got in there, there was one guy in the dock, and the guy had pleaded guilty, I didn't know. And then I had a judge lecturing the court about how the guy stole 1 bag of rice, which I think was costing about 150 Ghana cedis or so. And it was meant for the planting for food and job and whatever. And then he was discouraging people from doing such things. And then he asked the guy to enter a plea for mitigation. Normally when you are convicted or you plead guilty, they will give you the opportunity to beg. Yes. Let me just say beg so that everybody will understand. Beg for leniency for the court to. And the guy didn't know what to say. And the guy couldn't even speak a word. Apparently, I'll tell you this one later on. So I got up as a friend of the court. And then I told the judge that this guy had not committed any offense. There's no records over here about the judge previously. And so I wanted to plead on his behalf that if they could just find a guy. And then the judge, by the time I realized, after making my plea, the judge just handed down 2 years sentence. Yeah. 2 years sentence. And then when I was leaving from that place called Julukwita back to Ho, I gave a ride to one of the police investigators who was going to Ho. And then she now told me the whole story, and she told me that That guy had been brought from somewhere around Ketekrachi area by one guy to come and, the guy was a contractor, the one who brought him to come and work for him. He was working for the guy for some time. The guy was not paying him. He left and went to Ho and was doing some menial job there. His employer went back to Ho and brought the guy back. And the guy worked for him a few months again. He was not paying him, and the guy decided that he would take one bag of rice.
Injustice.
And this fact was known to the court, and yet he was jailed for 2 years. I was really very mad when I heard this story.
So these kinds of cases in the same kind of bracket, how many of those, maybe percentage-wise, do you think are women, you know, who fall victim to lack of the best lawyer or the public defense system or pro bono or things, such things? How many do you think are women?
I can't put my hand on any figure, but I don't think women are so much into this. In the criminal cases, you only get a few women every now and then. But like I said, the most impact is on the women, because it is their husbands and their children and their brothers and sisters, whatever they are. And they are the ones that follow up all the time. So, but you don't really see women in the middle of this thing. They are not, except the divorce cases.
There's something that our society does. It kind of, immediately a woman is alleged to have robbed, let's say armed robbery, or stolen something, or shot somebody even.
Yes.
For some reason, the dynamics are different. If a man is an armed robber or shot somebody, the way the public responds to that is different from how a woman is perceived. Do you think that impacts the justice system as well? How the woman is perceived within the justice system?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, because the judges are also part of the system, part of the society, and they have the same feeling that the rest of us also feel. And so I think I think the problem would be that we do not expect women to do certain things. Women to carry gun and be shooting and stealing and all of that. And so when you do it, I think the mentality is that no, we have to hand out something very harsh, very excessive. Yeah. So I believe.
Shouldn't
I think
that rather be the motive, that since women generally don't do that, so that kind of offense could be seen as a first time, or they should go delve deeper into reasons why and try to be lenient, rather than scapegoating the person, because what society expects and what we are different. People are different. You can't just say all women shouldn't do this. That kind of shouldn't is where the problem is.
Yeah.
Whose shouldn't is it? Is it the women who are not shouldn't, or is the public on this who thinks that we shouldn't?
Yeah.
So that's where the debate is.
I do agree with you. But you see, when these matters get to the courts belong to the judges who sit in those courts. And some of them just look at the law, and what the law says is what they implement. And so
could it be that the judges too are buying into the stereotypes?
Yes, very much so. I think so. Majority of them, overwhelming majority of them.
Women must be nurturers, women must so, and whenever there's any infringement of the law, they are punished harder, more severely.
I think so. I think so. I don't have the statistics to support it though, but I think that is a general view. And it's unfortunate. Okay. But
and amongst your staff, your lawyers who do the pro bono, how many are women?
There were two women. Like I said, I don't have permanent staff.
Yes.
It is only when I have some.
You can reach out to them.
Yeah, then I call some of the guys. So every now and then I just advertise it. If I say advertise, I just put posters in the courthouses and say, well, I need a number of lawyers. And so I've had about 2 or 3. You know, there was one at one time, another time 2, and they took up cases for me. But mostly they are guys.
Okay, we have to change that.
Yeah,
for the International Women's Day, which is March 8th, I mean, it's celebrated widely. What would you say are some of the areas government should be looking at when it comes to women and the law?
I think that I don't know if there's any conscious effort to train more female lawyers. I think I've been seeing a number of them, and so I believe that there are good number of female lawyers also over there. I think that we should just encourage them, and even the legal education system in Ghana right now is not the best now. You know, we have problems, and I think that they should try to be flexible enough and allow anybody who enrolls in a law faculty wants to become a lawyer. That's what I think. About 90% or more of them want to become lawyers, and so they should facilitate things for them. We need more lawyers, and so when they go, they should help them. I don't even like the system where they have a professional law school in Macaulay that is failing people after So that is one of the areas that they are discouraging women also, because just let the people graduate from their faculties and then organize an exams for all of them, just exam. Nobody has to go to the professional school because whatever subjects they are studying over there will be incorporated into the faculties so that they come out and then you encourage all of them, they pass their bar exams and then they practice. When you begin to practice and you are not doing well, your clients will not come to you. That is, I don't think anybody should be sitting somewhere and saying that we want you to be a very good lawyer so that clients will come to you. No, just go out there and begin to practice. If you are not doing well, they will not come to you. That is what I think they should do so that we can encourage more women. And not only in the law, I believe that they should encourage women to, there should be a kind of affirmative action also in Africa and in Ghana.
I was actually going to ask, well, not on affirmative, but this year, the International Women's Day, the theme is balance for better. Just to know that the cases that you deal with, are there issues of equality, equal salaries for women? Are there issues that the whole International Women's Day being celebrated, the reason we're fighting for women's rights, you have cases like that you deal with, so that if I work and I think that I'm doing the same role as a man, but because I am a woman, I am not being paid the same wages, I can come to you and you can fight on my behalf. Are there cases like that? What in general are some of the cases?
I have had just a couple of those cases, and the reason is because my focus is on criminal practice. And criminal practice because those are the people that need legal aid most. And so my attention is there. I believe people who are in private practice for corporate and civil practice, they are getting some. But I've got a couple of these cases that I went to the Labour Commission to try to fight for these people. Yeah.
There are a lot of women who have been abused. There's sexual harassment and violence against women. Would you take a case against women, for women who would need legal representation, since your focus has mainly been on divorce?
Why not?
You'll take it up. We have a few we could bring your way.
I will if I
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Eric Delano Alifo, thank you very much for coming to Captured by Women.
Thank you.
Dela Alifo is Executive Director of Help Law Ghana, a pro bono lawyer helping women. It's good to know that we still have some good in the world. We return right after this break. Welcome back to Captured by Women. Ladies, as we end the show, what has been your high point for today's show?
Independence. Listening to Mr. Adai Sibo, acknowledging the fact that their generation failed us. It's a wake-up call for us, our generation, and our children. We need to bring it back to where we should have been, and then we can boast alongside the peers of Singapore and Malaysia, as Nansat has mentioned.
I think on the same note, I would also say on independence, but much more the role women have played. You know, that has been overlooked and downgraded over time, and how it's time we recognize that women continue to strive and need much more in their country's political discourse. The second one, it's See Ghana. We need to really practicalize this notion and not just say it. See Ghana is not sitting in a trotro and going down the road. We need to put boots on the ground, go into communities, see what is there, you know, and market Ghana to other people, and not wait for people to come here and tell us, oh, I went to this park or I went to that tourist attraction and it was really beautiful. We need us to really see Ghana as Ghanaians.
Lovely.
For me, it's been Ghana Month, because I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to promote our local products. I mean, we export cocoa all over the world. There are different countries making incredible chocolate, but I'm proud to say now we have produced some of the best chocolate. We have a lot of different brands. They're all quality. A lot of them are affordable, and they are beautifully packaged. So that satisfies those concerns.
About packaging.
Top packaging of our chocolates, yes.
I think for my high point is the fact that the discussion about Ghana Month should go beyond Ghana Month. And so it actually gives us the opportunity to talk Ghana, to talk about Ghana. And like we're wearing these today, dressed beautifully in our made in Ghana. It encourages others, and it even encourages ourselves to continue same in the months ahead?
I mean, 62 years on, we should be further ahead than we are now.
We should
But
be.
we are making progress, and we should
We are.
continue to be
We are.
intentional about our
A
development.
pat on the shoulder, but we should do better. Yeah.
Well, ladies, I am happy that we got the answers to the pertinent issues of the week.
This episode of Captured by Women is brought to you from the beautiful surroundings, luxury living tea room at Stanbic Heights, Airport City, Accra. I think the ladies will agree with me. It's it's got a great ambience.
It's exquisite.
Exquisite,
lovely.
yes. Thank you.
Make a date with us again next time, same time on Captured by Women.